That our synagogue was in the city, fighting, didn't have enough parkings. We had some neighbors that complained, and actually we were fighting for 5 years. Finally, we got the approval to renovate the synagogue, the shul, and at the same time with 20 parkings. That's enough, because most people want. Yeah, the special thanks goes to, sorry, I don't know your first name. Mrs. Tabarzi, I don't know your first name. Yeah, your father is the one that was behind it, making the plans. I guess you didn't know, huh? Your father is too humble. He didn't say anything. Yeah, but anyways, thank God for that. That happened. So let's just, we're going to talk about something one point, from this week's parasha. You see, when it comes, this week talks about the building of the Mishkan, right? When they actually build the Mishkan. And the interesting thing was that, God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses a very young man. I'm sure most people know, everyone knows about it. A 14-year-old boy, 13 or 14-year-old boy, Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur. Betzalel, son of Uri, son of Chur, to be the head architect that actually builds the Mishkan. Now, it definitely needs a special merit. Certain areas, he knew even better than Moshe Rabbeinu how to build it. So the question is, what merit did it have? So actually, Rashi brings the explanation. The Torah says, who was the person that built it was Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur. Now, what's wrong with this pasuk, people? When it talks about the parents, something extra, nothing wrong with. Yeah, exactly. Usually, you don't mention the grandparents; you only mention the parents. So it's over here says Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur. The Mefarshim actually proved that. Usually say the father, not the grandfather, because the second architect, the head guy, was Ohaliah ben Achisamach. That's not who the grandfather was. Just as from the tribe of Dan, from Shevet Dan. So why by Betzalel ben Uri, they mention actually Chur too? So Rashi brings the hint, because Chur was Miriam's son. Miriam had a son called Chur, and what was so special about him, the point was that when the Jews wanted to make the golden calf, the first one that stood up against them was Chur. And he got killed right away. On the spot, they killed him. And how do you know that he got killed on the spot? Because in Parshas Mishpatim, when Moshe Rabbeinu was going to Har Sinai, he tells all the Jews, Aaron is here, Chur is here, they'll take care of your problems, if you have any questions. But then after Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from Har Sinai, we don't hear a word about Chur. The Torah doesn't talk about him at all. So that's where the Chachamim learned that he got killed. So the people that served the ego, they actually killed him. So then that's exactly what the grandfather is mentioned. The grandfather's name is teaching us, why was this 14-year-old child chosen to have such talent to make the Beit HaMikdash? Because the grandfather gave up his life to make a Kiddush Hashem, to sanctify God's name in order to stop the making of the golden calf. So who's going to be the most fitting to build a Mishkan that comes to forgive the sin of the golden calf? As we all know, God revealed himself in the Mishkan, and that showed that he forgave the Jews, none other than the grandchild. So that's what the name of the grandfather, the Chur, is mentioned to teach us is the merit of the grandfather, because he stood up against idol worship, so his grandson actually got the merit to build it. But one of the lessons that we learn, I'm sure they have taught you about, was one of the big Rosh Hashivas of Manchester. His name is Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segal. Sure, you have heard of it? Never talked about it? Come on. Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segal was somebody that actually fought for the girls. He came one time to New York, and he said that I have a complaint, why in schools you don't pay the girls enough, so they have to go find a job in 47th Street. It's a Jewish place, but a lot of goyim go there. He says our daughters are in danger. You should pay them well in the Jewish schools, so they don't have to go on the 47th Street in Manhattan to find a job by non-Jewish places. He actually fought a lot for the education and finding jobs for the girls. I guess these days teachers get paid well. I hope so. None of your teachers are complaining, are they? They don't get paid enough. Okay, if they complain, say it's okay. The reward is after 120 years, not a year. You tell that to your teachers. So you make the next generation. Don't worry about the money. God will send it. Anyway, so that's one thing that, when you do a mitzvah, you might not, Rabbi Segal says it, you might not get the reward right away. But eventually God is going to get the reward. Sometimes it takes 2 generations. Took from Chur to come to Uri and then to Betzalel. That's one thing that we learn. Another thing, actually, When somebody does a mitzvah l'shem shamayim, sometimes miracles could happen. Now let's see what we find in this week's parsha. It's actually a chidush that the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh writes down. It says the Jews brought the donations to make the Mishkan. So the Torah says they came baboker, early in the morning, every morning. Some Mefarshim learn how come it says baboker twice. Within 2 days, all the donations came. 2 days. It reminds of all the matching donations that they make, right? We have 36 hours. We got to raise $500,000. You have a match. Every dollar you give becomes double. Within 36 hours, they collect 500,000. I guess the idea came from our fathers in the desert. Within 2 days, they brought all the donations. Anyways, so then it says that when they brought the donations, it says v'hamelacha haisar dayam vehoter. It was enough and it was extra. So Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh says that's a contradiction. If it's extra, it's more than enough. If it's enough, it's not extra. How could you have both? That the donations were enough and they were extra. So the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh writes down, actually God made a miracle. They brought too many donations. They brought too much. But the too much fit in the building of the Mishkan. Why would God make a miracle that things that usually are not supposed to fit, they suddenly fit in there? So it says God was very sensitive to the Jewish people. Imagine they would bring 3,000 items, and only 2,500 is used for the Mishkan. You know how painful thoughts will go in the minds of every single Jew? Maybe my donation wasn't accepted, and that's a sign that really God didn't forgive me for the golden calf. Yeah, generally forgive all the Jews, but if my donation is not accepted, that means I don't have any merit to have my donation built in the Mishkan. Now, if there would be some extra, who would know whose money is not used? So God made a special miracle. That's what Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh says. Interesting. He made a special miracle, even though they brought more than enough, but somehow everything fit. So all the Jews felt, yes, all donations are accepted. Every individual is accepted by God. Now, what would such miracle happen? They must have had a merit. So Rabbi Segal, I don't know if he brings it from himself or brings from the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh. I didn't have a chance to check it out. But he says, we find in the beginning when they went to bring the donations, it says once Moshe told them what they need, it says, Vayetzu kol adat b'nei Yisrael milifnei Moshe. All the Jews left the presence of Moshe to go bring the donations. Why is the Torah saying that? Of course they left. So it says that I actually left l'shem shamayim, and no one held another Jew from bringing the money. Sometimes you want to give all the donations yourself, so you make some trouble that this guy can't give a donation. I gave all, not him. I gave all the money. It says the Jews were so united that they all left with the same heart, and they were happy that everybody is participating in that thing. So this L'Shem Shamayim that they did actually the mitzvah with such enthusiasm and such unity, that made them deserve this miracle that happened. So Yehuda Segal again says here we see when a Jew does a mitzvah, especially L'Shem Shamayim, actually deserves a miracle to happen for him. And again, honestly, this could be every single one of us. Don't underestimate yourself, especially the girls. Who was the first 4-year-old girl that made a miracle? Maybe 5 years old. Changed our history. Rivka was one of them, not bad. I mean, at the age of 3, she decided to get married. She was pretty bald, but not that I'm saying. Miriam, exactly. It's a Gemara and Sota. What did Miriam do? Go ahead, don't be shy. Put that in your resume. When you want to get married, they see that today you gave the best answer. I'm just kidding, just teasing you. You have other values and virtues. You don't need this. Everything. But anyways, what's going on? What was the story with Miriam? Go a step back. You're almost there. Go one step back. Exactly. That's the Gemara and Sota. Who do you have bigger than Amram? Amram was actually a leader, just like Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe not as big, but it was actually one of the leaders. The Midrash says that after so many sins that happened, God went to the 7th heaven. He wasn't revealed on the earth. The first one that brought him down one level lower was Abraham Avinu. He brought him from heaven number 7 to heaven number 6. Amram brought God from 2nd heaven to the 1st heaven. Moshe Rabbeinu brought him back on the earth when he made the Mishkan. So he wasn't a small guy. If he decided to divorce his wife publicly, that means this was some type of a knowledge based on Torah knowledge. He wasn't just a guy that, he knew the value of Jewish children, the value of marriage. So Miriam is only 4 years old, 5 years old maybe maximum. He comes and tells his father Amram, hey, what are you doing? Your decree is worse than Paro, because Paro is only killing the boys, not the girls. While you suffering from my mom, no girls. Paro is only killing them from this world. But once a kid comes into the world, he has Olam Haba. You're causing him not to have the Olam Haba. And number 3, Paro is a Rasha, so his decree will not stay. But you're a tzaddik, and your decree is going to stay. A 5-year-old girl changed the entire history. Because of him, because of her, Moshe Rabbeinu came. So all I'm saying is, do not underestimate yourself. Believe me, the mitzvah doesn't have to be as big or as small. Doesn't matter. Every mitzvah does count. Do value your mitzvah. You can never know, one little caring to another person, one little small thing that you do for your classmate, for your teacher, for a stranger in the street, could actually change their lives to better, and it could actually save generations. Seriously, I mean, I have a few stories myself. Not you talk about myself, but you meet people in colleges. Yeah, are you Jewish? Do you want to put on tefillin? I don't know what tefillin does, but I know 2 guys that became Shomer Shabbos, and one of them is married, and his wife puts on a wig, covers the hair. Just one time meeting them on college campus, put on tefillin. You can never know one small mitzvah what it could do. Thank you for listening, everybody.